Are you ready for some over-the-top superhero brawls? These matchups don't quite make it into the MCU, but they're real in our hearts, and that's a close second to being on the big screen. I'm talking about the best MCU battles that never happened, at least not yet. Would Captain Marvel keep her cool if Mjolnir was hurtling towards her in the heat of battle? Let's find out.
You have finally asked a relevant question.
For our first matchup, we have the Black Panther versus Iron Man. Both Tony Stark and T'Challa are humans, but T'Challa's physiology has been enhanced by the heart-shaped herb he consumed upon taking the throne of Wakanda. But how much does that really matter when they're both stuffed inside of their respective supersuits? Now, Iron Man has tons of tech, but unfortunately for him, he's a little bit short on vibranium. You know, arguably the strongest substance in the MCU. Iron Man might have the edge when it comes to sending out long-range attacks, but we've seen the Black Panther withstand some incredible strikes in his sleek suit. Honestly, as far as matchups go, this one would likely be pretty close. T'Challa and Tony are both smart, have experience thinking tactically, and are loaded up with top-notch tech. But if T'Challa could get close enough to sink his vibranium claws into the Iron Man's suits, I have a feeling he'd rip it apart like it was a tin can. I know what you're thinking. We already saw Infinity War, and spoiler alert, the big green guy did not win. But I'm not talking about the Incredible Hulk. I'm talking about Smart Hulk. You know, the most mild-mannered and fully clothed version we saw during Endgame. He might not have the same passion for brawling as the previous version, but he'll likely be able to strategize way better in the heat of a battle. Let's assume Thanos doesn't have the Infinity Gauntlet, since that's pretty much cheating at this point. We've seen Captain Marvel stand up to a mighty purple Thanos punch, but could Smart Hulk do the same? If Infinity War is anything to go by, the answer is no, unless Smart Hulk uses his brains. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Bruce Banner, the science bro, as much as the next person, and I know they call his new form Smart Hulk for a reason. But unless they're entering a science fair, I highly doubt he would be able to beat Thanos. The Mad Titan has fought tons of different beings on various planets, and is used to commanding fleets of soldiers. He's an incredible tactician, so unless Smart Hulk has enough prep time to create a Thanos-destroying weapon, I just can't see him winning this one. Unless he wins him over with some tacos.
Green. Did you get that?
I've been excited about seeing Thor and Captain Marvel face off since the trailer for Avengers Endgame, and, well, I'm still waiting. These two beautiful blonde-haired heroes have incredible superhuman abilities and experience as peerless warriors. In this corner, we have Thor, the god of thunder and son of Asgard, who draws his strength from the sky itself. Then there's Captain Marvel, who was elevated from her status as puny human by the Space Stone, one of the most powerful magical artifacts in the galaxy. In the pages of Marvel Comics, pitting a human against a god is pretty much a no-brainer regarding who would win, but don't forget we're talking about MCU battles here. At the end of Captain Marvel, Carol was strong enough to punch a spaceship apart, and she clearly spent years training and fighting since then. She barely blinked at a direct punch from Thanos, while the Mad Titan had Thor scrambling during Infinity War when he boarded his ship. Stormbreaker could potentially be a tiebreaker, but considering how fast and agile Captain Marvel is in flight, it might not be enough. As much as I hate to say it, I think the MCU version of Captain Marvel would ultimately triumph over the God of Thunder. Since Iron Man's evil plan to get Peter Parker to destroy himself with those incredibly dangerous Edith glasses failed, barely, let's look at what it would be like if they fought in person. Seriously, Tony, you couldn't have left an instruction manual for those things. We know Iron Man can hurt Spider-Man's feelings, but what about the rest of him? Peter Parker was both smart and foolhardy enough to disable the training wheels protocol on his suit, which means he has access to Stark Industries technology, as well as his own spider-like abilities. Spider-Man is incredibly agile, which means he could avoid Iron Man's attacks and potentially gunk up his gear with his webbing. I actually think there's a decent chance the MCU's Spider-Man could beat Iron Man. Someday. The thing is, Peter Parker still has a lot to learn about hand-to-hand combat, tactics, and not trusting strangers with valuable and dangerous pieces of equipment. Iron Man was an incredible fighter with an over-the-top supersuit, and he knew how to use it. Sadly, Iron Man perished before Spider-Man became strong enough to defeat him, but I think he'll get there eventually. And clearly, Tony thought so too.
Holy cow! You will not believe what's been going on. Do you remember when we were in space?
Black Widow and Gamora are two of the most dangerous fighters in the galaxy, so of course I'd love to see them battle it out. Of course, I also wanted to see them team up, but those two things don't have to be mutually exclusive. Gamora and Black Widow have both gone through intense training at the hands of Thanos and the folks behind the Red Room respectively, and have come out stronger if a little bit closed off emotionally as a result. Black Widow may be one of the most skilled combatants on Earth, but Gamora is one of the top fighters in the entire galaxy. Not to belittle how painful it was to experience the Red Room, but if Gamora was any less skilled, she wouldn't have all of her original body parts. And as far as I know, she's totally intact. As much as I hate to say anything nice about Thanos, his teaching methods were effective. Not only is Gamora likely a stronger, smarter, faster, and more all-around skilled fighter, but she has access to devices Natasha has likely never seen before. Sorry, Natasha, but this round definitely goes to Gamora.
Put it down, you fool. You'll destroy us all.
Or just you, murderess!
I let you live once, princess.
I am not a princess! Hey!
Here's a question. Is Scarlet Witch really a witch in the MCU? In this version, Wanda Maximoff's powers come from the Mind Stone, and she may or may not be secretly a mutant. Then there's Doctor Strange, who managed to master the mystic arts in a surprisingly short amount of time. They're two of the most powerful characters in the MCU, with the Russo brothers claiming that Wanda could have beaten Thanos in a one-on-one match. Doctor Strange did fight back the Dread Dormammu, but he had the advantage of the Time Stone, and that's a huge power-up that he would not have in this hypothetical fight. If you think about it, a lot of the most impressive feats we've seen Strange accomplish have involved the Time Stone. Now don't get me wrong, his spells are still powerful without it, but they don't seem to be on Wanda's level. For this moment, I'm saying that Wanda has the edge here, although I'm still hoping we get to see this battle actually happen at some point in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. What's better than one Thor? Two Thors. If you're gonna call me crazy for suggesting such a thing, then you should know that this almost happened during Avengers Endgame. According to the Russo brothers, there was going to be a showdown between pre-Infinity War Thor and post-Infinity War Thor. In the end, they ended up going with Captain America versus Captain America, but I'd still like to see a double dose of the God of Thunder. Endgame Thor's abs might not have been as pronounced, but he was still worthy, and learned the importance of going straight for the head. Even though these two characters are, well, kinda the same character, Endgame Thor has something that the other doesn't, and that is hope. Infinity War Thor was understandably depressed about his losses, while Endgame Thor knew there was a reason to keep fighting. If you felt the emotional hit of watching Captain America and Iron Man fight, get ready for Ant-Man versus Captain America. Could Scott Lang get over his case of hero worship long enough to fight? We've seen him fight effectively against his fellow heroes, but usually when they were wearing a supersuit that he could crawl inside of and disable. That strategy wouldn't work on Captain America, who's powered by his love of his country and the super soldier serum. Ant-Man does pack a punch when he's small and can grow huge, but either way, he's nowhere near the warrior Cap is. Steve Rogers is a better fighter, a brighter strategist, and he's no slouch in the strength department. The only way Ant-Man would win would be if he fought Old Man Cap, and frankly, that's one of the few fights I don't want to see in the MCU. Even though he's not the most serious guy in the galaxy, StarLord is a powerful fighter, and he has lots of handy gadgets to make his battles even easier. But how would his space-age tech fare against the finest in Wakandan weaponry? Okoye's arms and armor aren't the flashiest, but their power is second to none. She's a highly trained and efficient warrior who has probably never danced in the middle of an epic battle. Although Okoye would probably emerge victorious, I would love to see her thrown off by StarLord's spontaneous style of fighting. Plus, he stood against the might of the Power Stone and his father Ego, so maybe we shouldn't count him out so quickly. Captain America and Iron Man had such a great and often antagonistic relationship, and now that they're out of the picture, isn't it time we see their friends fight against each other? Rhodey was Tony's best friend, and wears a suit made by the late owner of Stark Industries. Then we have Sam Wilson, who was picked to replace Steve Rogers as the new Captain America. Their super suits are fairly similar, so a large part of this battle could come down to their training and the help they received from Tony and Steve. Sam definitely has the edge when it comes to agility, especially if you take the Red Wing into account, but he doesn't seem to have as much firepower as Rhodey when he's wearing his suit. In a ranged battle, Sam could have a serious advantage, but I think War Machine's strength and durability might just win out.
Thank you for that.
Don't mind me, I'm still sore the battle between Thanos and the Nova Corps happened entirely off screen. But you could cheer me up by telling me about your favorite fictional MCU matchups in the comments section down below. And don't forget to click on that subscribe button and turn on your notifications for more new videos from us here at CBR. As always, thanks a lot for watching.